Greetings, my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. This broadcast is meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, my patrons. I have 4 of them now: Clayton, Ruby, Stephanie, and Jonathan. And I've been at this 1,104 days, trying to make a profession, a broadcast of a point of view that is what I value. And the clearer it gets, I'm looking for a response of value as well. Aren't we all? That's why you can go to patreon.com, patreon.com, and become a sponsor. My goal is 4 million sponsors at $1 a piece. Who knows where CT and MMP might go then? But in addition to Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, MMPLAs, the Jesuits of Pilates, that include high priestesses as well as high priests. The Jesuits are a male denomination of the Catholic Church. Maybe Goldman Sachs would be a better comparison, although hardly any less discriminatory in gender. But maybe McKinsey as a group of consultants that know their stuff, right? BDO tries to advertise that, and I think there's some kind of financial consulting firm. And who the Core New Core is? And then for people interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor. In Facebook yesterday, I had someone observing me I don't think I've ever met, who seems to be running a Pilates studio. And based on my conversation, I wondered, what must he make of me? Or not of me so much as the information that I'm broadcasting, right? And so my number one of 4 titles I have for today is that MMP is based on Joe's book. That's a simple way to understand it. MMP is a point of view of Pilates, and it's based on Joe's book. And then because in my social media streams I saw an animated version of what I consider to be a sequence of movements in yoga called Salute to the Sun. And so, as a Pilates listener, a sequence is where I'm headed toward on that. It's a series of movements, and those movements are called Salute to the Sun, and I wouldn't understand why or what any of more depth than that. Sequence and salute to in yoga. In Pilates translates to salute to reality. Doing Pilates, doing the mat. Doing the mat is a salute to reality. It's a reaction to reality. Number 2. On a reformer, At the end of the reformer, they now have called a riser, or whatever they call it, but a support strut to move the pulley from within the frame to up higher, and what's my comment? The pulleys on risers. So when pulleys leave the frame and go higher from a strap that's connected to the carriage, through the pulley and out to either handles or loops, depending upon hands or feet kind of thing. But the pulley that connects the strap to the carriage, what I'm talking about? I understand that they're up there mostly to facilitate leg circles, range of motion, not getting caught on the shoulder straps, all of that, more than that. But it changes the physics of things. It changes the lines of tension. It changes the line of tension. And so as an example, I would give you the reformer on a normal size, just a normal sized reformer. The teaser, the line of tension usually goes through the end point at the shoulders to the pulley. So the line of the arms reaching out, the strap and the arms are in the same line, and that line is parallel to the line of the legs. And we won't even talk about core tension between the ears and the shoulders, because all I'm trying to point to is feel for yourself the difference in say an exercise like teaser, if you can do that, or any other range of experiments that you're safe with. Don't deny yourself the ability to reach through a cleaner line of tension with the pulleys in a different place than when they're just left at the same place for everything. That's what I'm saying. Know the difference. Feel the difference, especially with that. Because if the lines, maybe this is obvious, but the less clean the line is, the less the alignment lines up, right? What do I want to say about that? The apparatus is in the way of the expression you're trying to make. That's what I'm trying to say. If a more ideal expression of the teaser on the reformer can be embraced in the tension where if the pulleys are higher and the angle goes like this to your hands, then by all means, let's see it, because I'm sure it's great. Show that. And then do the same thing with the pulley lower and reach for your ideal effort with the tension coming from a different place, a different height, right? It's relationships and distances and degrees of tension and angles of tension and just leaving the pulleys on risers and taking everything from there is saying, well, I'm going to work within the way the equipment's set up because it's too much trouble to change it. At some level of interest, in performance, it makes a difference, and that's the one at which I'm addressing this point of view. Number three. So going from Joe's statement about always keep your mind wholly concentrated on the purpose of the exercises as you perform them. So concentrate on the purpose of the exercises as you perform them. In the MMP point of view, which is what this broadcast is all about, it's taken for granted that you've seen more than just this one, to know that the core is a grip at the hips. It's not a squeeze, it's an involution, and it's muscular, and it's real. It's a rotational dynamic that the human being is capable of. And then once you get to that, the immediate leap is into other rotational dynamics. To discover that the aim of whole body is an aim toward unifying core nu tension between its endpoints. So you get to core nu tension, you get to whole body via, like traveling through, via tension. Now I'm all into gravity, forces, the issue, the point. What's the point? The point is gravity forces the point of alignment. Because if it weren't for alignment, we wouldn't. See, right there, I want to start arguing with myself about gravity. Well, but see, gravity. Gravity forces the issue of alignment. It's because of the world we're in, and that objects have mass and weight, and gravitational attraction, and that's how we get to gravity. And gravity forces, like it pushes the issue of alignment. And alignment, the best part about MMP as a point of view, the best part about Pilates, alignment is sensational. You can feel it. You get to that feeling via tension between 2 points, between 2 points, between 2 points. Between 2 points, between 2 points, and between 2 points, though these points are nowhere near as unstructured, meaning only muscular and not limited by joint limitations. Okay. In any event, what am I saying? I'm saying that the purpose. Oh, where am I headed? Okay, So, the purpose of the stomach massage. Well, back up a second. Why do we do stomach massage? And that's because it's in Joe's film. Okay? And well documented by the culture in his time. As part of a sequence on the Reformer. So see right there, we're in the sequence again. And working out on the Reformer in a Pilates-esque style or in the spirit of Pilates is to mirror the pattern of movement that happens on the mat on the reformer. So from lying down doing footwork on the reformer to sitting up and doing stomach massage. I know rowings is out there as level 5, but more fundamentally, not to be missed by going out to the fringes of expression, assuming the center. You don't get anywhere in the exotic expression of movement if it's not coming from the integrity of what was meant to be established before then. It's progressive. So many things want to come out. The stomach massage, seated on the reformer, is round back, flat back, and twist as movement patterns. Yes? Right? Now it's missing side to side bending. It's missing that plane. Why? Well, the MMP answer is because it doesn't fit. Nobody wrote that. Joe didn't write that down, and nobody detailed any of what the original work means or the consistencies within it. You sort of have to have enough of the original work, access to it, to make meaning from it. But simply round back, flat back, no side to side, doesn't fit. It's not in, so there's always at least 2 reasons to do something. And the first reason, and the biggest reason of all, is because there's original work of Joe, or Joe's film. Sometimes that's tough to tell, be careful. But of Joe or Joe's filming, and Joe's words, there's the original stuff, and then there's everything else. MMP tries to make an ideal out of what's there, and that's just one of millions of other points of view other than what is totally original. And to the extent that you cling to totally original to stay close to its essence, I think you end up confined to historical reenactment. Because it's only by understanding the ideal that exists within the original work that you understand the original work for what it is, and in the understanding are empowered to improvise it and interpret it and derive from it whatever you wish. And nothing will change in terms of the whole presumptive aristocratic pyramid of things. But throughout the pyramid, the foundation will be more apparent. Unless, of course, I'm just completely delusional, which I might be, and this might have been a totally personal effort of self-indulgence and fantasy. Maybe. In stomach massage, it's about inflection. You're closest to your center, and you're in a position where you can try to develop the deepest grip that you can in the hips. You know, that's a lot of intricate musculature, some of which is dormant, and you seek to wake up in order to be able to engage. Right? Toes apart, heels together on the reformer, hands connected probably to the front of the carriage, contact points. Points of support. But why the heels together is what I'm focused on. And so the point of the stomach massage, like the point of all of it, is to deepen your control, to dive deeper in your control, and in doing so, you dive deeper into enveloping a tighter, deeper grip. Not tighter. Not, what does my notes say? Not tighter, not tighter. A deeper grip. The ability to get closer to the axis of rotation that your water balloon body is vaguely resonating to. If you go down there in Facebook and see the MRI of the head doing this, right? Is there rotation there or not? Now, I don't know if the brain tries to gravitate toward that axis, but I do know that in my imagery of engaging your core, that it is a grip, and your effort at doing that is to take the involution deeper, to more articulately define the control you have around the axis you are rotating around. That's about as bright as I am on how to say that. Okay? I saw this brilliant piece of tape of tree frogs engaged romantically, and it was such a distinct, fascinating expression of rotation at the hips. I think that's connected to why we have a cultural, perhaps a global human sensitivity to or filtering of what we acknowledge about the hips. Without considering anything biological, it's the physics that matters when it comes to understanding CT and MMP. And so the core is a rotational dynamic, and there are 5 others. Shoulders to hips, ears to shoulders, metatarsals back to knees through a couple of endpoints, back to hips through the ankles and the knees. So know your endpoints. So, round is closer to center and easier to control than straight. And so coming up straight in the second position tries to align hips, shoulders, and ears. So it's like, okay, if you've got a grip on this one, in the first expression of stomach massage, and how critical a connection at heels is at squeezing in to help involute the grip. You either know this as an of course, or haven't really connected to how that makes a difference in how you engage. So the purpose to the exercise, well, for one thing, the purpose always is what? In MMP's point of view, it's control. It goes to the issue of control to at least discern differentiation by how much control you have in one situation versus another, or how much control you get to over time in one pursuit of introduction versus another. So this grip at the hip in stomach massage, that first position, it's how deep can you engage your core, how well can you engage your core, and then in the next position you reach up and try to establish a stretch that's vertical that you can sense because of gravity. And yes, of course, it goes from shoulders to ears, to where the connection goes from ears to hips, and hips to metatarsals. Which gets me to really where I was going with number 4. Right, number 4. The number 4 title is Static and Linear Does Not Get You There. Engagement in locked joints and distorted appendages do not accomplish the same thing as being whole body. And it's really, there's agreeing that Pilates is a whole body thing, and then there's a willingness to whether or not you want to know how you get there. I can't help that. All I can do is point it out while I can, as best I can, and that's what the last 1,104 days has been all about. So, number 4, static and linear does not get you there. So we're talking about, what are we talking about? Well, I went from round body to straight body in terms of through core new tension, being able to feel alignment, and that in the next exercise you go from anchored hands to no arms, but nothing really changes in the body except fewer contact points, which is one way something gets harder in the method, and those ways are progressively different, more. And then to the twist. Attempting side road, but a twist. And that's, and according to Bobby, there is no arm circles in the classical work. And so you never know, you never know to what extent how original is what you do unless you own it and see it, and others believe it's original too, I guess. I don't know. And when do you find the authority and the confidence that you're looking for? To me, a lot of it is just finding out that yes, there is a way of looking at things that explains why. In a very sensational way. What do you get from the tension? When you create tension between points, when you create tension between points, why are you doing that? To distribute load. The more muscular engagement, the lighter you are in space, because of the dynamic engagement of the musculature. At least that's how I look at it. Maybe that's totally foolish and naive to think of it that way, but that's... When you're flat on your back and you've got no muscular engagement, you're not going anywhere. When you're standing upright and you have dynamic tension in your body that goes right through the connection into the floor, from which you gain some of that dynamic tension, you're ready to bend over backwards in matrix and dodge a bullet. I only mean that lightheartedly. But your range of motion and your ability, your connection, if the more uniformly engaged you are, the more likely you are to survive the jungle. That's the jungle, and the jungle is gravity. And so, my comment was linear and are static and linear, like a clench of musculature, or a clench of musculature, or a straight line of tension. This is the more subtle one I'm sort of aiming for, like an open leg rocker. I mean, there can be no tension, your arms can be in the air. But you step right away from the way it's documented by Joe, and you're off in fairyland there, or at least make-believe, right, into something else. So, hands on arms, yes. Now, whether there's tension of the legs going in, or tension of the legs pushing out, or the tension of the legs pushing away, and if there's tension in the arms pressing in, or pulling out, or pulling in, or pulling towards, or pushing away. Try the open leg rocker with your palms open, just making a contact point from which to press into your legs that are pressing back. You know, like it or not, if we're actually interested in whole body, and you're aware of the physics that the body's capable of and reaching into to move through space, then as a Pilates instructor, aren't you really just pulling the curtain aside and empowering somebody to understand the biomechanics of wonder, and how the body is reaching into the physics to do it. See, that's why I say the biology accomplishes the physics. Because it's only through the physics that you get to move. Right? So my summary was going to be, if you're new to this, in terms of me and CT and MMP, think of MMP as neoclassical. It's totally classical, but within the classical you can't entertain an ideal interpretation of what it is, because that's not part of what's classical. See what I'm saying? Now if an ideal exists if an ideal exists within Joe's original work, which I believe it does, and it doesn't matter what I believe, but if an ideal does exist, then it will protect itself, because it is what it is. Right? And why that matters to you as a Pilates instructor is because the closer you stand to it, the more it's protecting you as much as you're protecting yourself. If you're all out there on your own and it's just you, and Pilates is just one of the things that you're doing, which is all fine, but to the extent that in the understanding of Pilates, you have an ideal as part of your perspective, it gives you some place to stand. And let's say you're new to all of this, you're in love with everything, and you're growing. MMP is an ideal look at the classical. If only the classical matters, and because there is no explanation in classical, then Pilates is to forever be unexplained, then it really kisses goodbye to whatever, or allows you to make anything you want of Pilates, but what Pilates ends up being made into may not match with what you consider it to be. I think that, well, we'll see. We'll see. So know what you know. Know what you know. And then do your best, of course, to share your joy, to fulfill your duty. Because life can't live forever. Read between the lines and see behind the curtain, evaluate points of view, and then add two and two. Direct your thinking, Geist,